Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first live stream since I think the last game of the season. We did a match reaction for the last game of the season, and that was the last one that we did. Now, I'm going to pick it up a little bit here and talk about new contracts. So, the idea of this video is for me to go through the 11 players that are out of contract at the end of the 22-23 season, and then just tell you if I think they should get a new contract or not. Some I'll be saying release, some I'll be saying 1 year, and some I might even say 2 or 3 years. You never know. But let's get going, because first and foremost, we have got Mr. Wesley Foderingham. Now, if you're in the stream, make sure you pop your comments in the live chat and tell me what you think of each player, whether you want them to be released or whether you want them to get a new contract at the time, because I will try and get through as many comments as possible and pop them all on screen so that everybody can see whether you agree or whether you disagree, because it's all about opinions at the end of the day. Every single opinion is valid, whether I believe in it or not. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about Wes Foderingham, as I just said a second ago. League One Wes, everybody's favourite goalkeeper. Now, there's been a lot of chat about Dean Henderson coming back to Sheffield United recently. I think it's a little bit of pie in the sky, to be honest. He's going to be on a hell of a lot of money. Now, he's going to have to drop his wages, don't get me wrong. But I still don't think we can afford him. I think he'll go to a mid-table to lower-end Premier League club, but I don't think that club will be Sheffield United, because I don't think we'll be able to afford him. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think we're going to bring in a goalkeeper. I think we probably will bring in a goalkeeper at some point, but Adam Davies still does have a year on his contract. It runs out in 2024, so I expect to see Adam Davies being Sheffield United's number 2. Will Wes Foderingham be Sheffield United's number 1? I'm going to say yes, and I think that he'll definitely be given a new contract, whether it's a year or 2, because I think that Wes has proved himself in the last 2 seasons. He's been fantastic. A couple of jittery moments at times, but on the whole, he's been really, really good and probably deserves his crack at the Premier League. I don't think he's ever had a crack at the Premier League before, so it'll be good to see Wes and see what he can offer us next season, because he's going to be facing a hell of a lot of shots. Now, I'll quickly pop up on screen. Foderingham, keep. Stay, definitely. No to Wes for me. Matthew Tyndale, going for it. No for him. That is a bit of a shock, to be honest. Let us know what you think, guys, in the comments. I'm shocked. I really am. I do think we should bring in a goalkeeper that is better, but at the same time, I think Wes deserves his stripes, to be honest. I think he's done really, really well. And yeah, if anyone deserves a crack at the Premier League, I think it's probably Wes. Next up, let's move into Jack Robinson. And I've put down here a big fat new contract. Now, that doesn't mean that I think Jack Robinson's going to start next season or should start next season. I think he'll end up starting next season, to be perfectly honest, because Kieran Clark will be going back. We've got nobody else in that position. Maybe Reece Norrington-Davies could play at left centre-back. But as what's been outlined, 20 million is all that we've got to spend, apparently. So we're going to be trying to bring in a lot of good loans, some free transfers. There's a lot of free transfers out there to be had. It's whether we can offer the kind of wages that these players want to go for. But left centre-back, I think that should be, and left wing-back, 2 positions that we need to improve on. I really, really do. I think we've got a half-decent left wing-back, or 2 half-decent left wing-backs in Norrington-Davies and Max Lowe. But I certainly think it can be improved. I really, really think so. So I've gone for a new contract for Jack Robinson. I think he deserves it. He's been fantastic for the most of last season, or this season just gone. But he still made a load of mistakes, didn't he? He still made some shockers this season or last season. I don't know what to call it. Am I calling it this season or last season? Let me know. Let me know. John, we will get to talking about Billy Sharp very, very soon. Keith Robinson, he is a great player. Olivia's gone for a great player. Fair enough. Is that if that's what you think? I think he's certainly shown some great promise this season. He loves a tackle, clearly. He loves scoring goals as well. I think he's our top goal scoring defender for a long time, a long old time, because Bash didn't score many goals or doesn't score many goals. Jack O'Connell didn't score too many goals. John Egan doesn't actually score that many goals. And the fullbacks or wing backs, if you like, should definitely be scoring more goals than what they have been doing in the last few seasons. So Robinson definitely has that string to his bow. Samson Horner is going, I reckon, stick with Robinson. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think you're probably right there. Jack brings a long throw option as well, and not many in the Premier League have that. Absolutely, James. Big string to his bow, that big long throw, and especially in the Premier League next season. In the Championship, it didn't seem to really work, but maybe if we're going to bring in a couple of improvements, a couple of players that may be able to flick a ball on, or maybe we're bringing in bigger players and we're going to be a bit of a Stoke next season. Who knows? We'll have to see. Hecky is certainly brewing something anyway for next season. I'm really looking forward to it. Apparently, the 20 million is just for fees, not including wages and etc. Yeah, Matthew, I think you're probably right there. It does sound like that. 20 million still not a lot of money, though, is it? In the grand scheme of things, in the Premier League. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm absolutely fine with us trying to be a more financially sustainable club. I think a lot of fans aren't, but at the end of the day, it's very exciting when your team's throwing money at players and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're Northerners, aren't we? And we are tight at the end of the day. So it'd be nice to sort our club out first and foremost without throwing 20s and 30 millions at players like we have done previously when we're in the Premier League. So let's move on to the next one, which is Jack O'Connell. And I think you'll all agree with me, reluctantly release Jack O'Connell. It's a really, really, it's not a tough decision, but it's a really tough one to take, really, because Jack O'Connell has been such a great player for the Blades over the last 5 or 6 years, is it? The last 3 years, not so much, because he's barely kicked a ball in those 3 years. I think, let me think, 1, 2, 3. He played the Wolves game, the second season in the Premier League under Chris Wilder. He played in that game, that Wolves game at Bramall Lane, in front of no people, in front of no crowd. And that was the last time we saw Jack O'Connell in a Sheffield United shirt. So that's 2 seasons and another season where Jack O'Connell has just not played professional football for Sheffield United. We obviously gave him a bumper contract because he was on the verge of an England call-up. So why wouldn't you? You want to tie someone like that down so that we can get 20, 30, 40 million for him, which I think we all probably expected that eventually Jack O'Connell would move on to a better club or a bigger club, not a better club. No one's a better club than the Blades, but a bigger club who's going to pay him a lot more money. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out like that. So really, really sad. But unfortunately, we're going to have to release Jack O'Connell. I think he'll probably end up going on to being like a fitness coach or a PT or bodybuilder. I don't know. But Jack O'Connell will end up being something in fitness because since he's finished football, since he's not been playing football, you've seen him on Instagram pumping iron, working out in the gym, working out in like foreign gyms as well, like outside, like jungle gyms and stuff. So he's certainly putting the effort into sorting his body out. A lot of players that end up retiring early don't do that. So it's good on him. Good on you, Jack. I don't think there's any point in bringing many comments up for this one because I think we all agree that Jack O'Connell should be released, unfortunately. Matthew's saying player coach for Jack O'Connell. I would love to see that. However, the only thing is I don't think we're going to see much of that player side. But absolutely agree on the coach. Samson's also said get him in as a defending coach. I think that's a fantastic shout. Same with Matthew's comment, but it's whether he wants to do that. We'll have to see. He'll obviously be on a lot less money if we take him on or keep him on as a coach. But no, it would be really exciting. It'd be nice to keep him there at the club. But at the same time, there's just nothing that beats seeing Jack O'Connell running down that left wing, crossing balls into the box, overlapping. Jack O'Connell, it'll be a sad day when we eventually release him. And I think it could be very, very soon. Next up, we've got Ender Stevens, and unfortunately, another one that I'm reluctantly saying release because I think you could say at the same time as Jack O'Connell, Ender Stevens' time as a Sheffield United player is probably over, and it's probably not to do with his form. It's more to do with the injuries impacting his form because he's been poor for a while. It was poor. I remember him coming back from lockdown and him missing the ball against Newcastle away. And that all kind of started it off, I think. It seemed anyway. He had a poor end to the second Premier League season after being incredible in the first Premier League season and the Championship season, the season before that. So season more. And that second season in the Premier League, he was pretty poor. And then the last two seasons in the Championship, he's mostly been injured. And unfortunately, I think that his time's probably up. And it's more to do with his injuries, like I said, because I think that Ender Stevens, without any injuries, is playing Premier League football. And when we got relegated, would have been picked up by somebody else because he was that good. I said once or twice, and for people that have heard me say this before, but you're sick of me hearing me say this, but I think he would have played Champions League football if he'd have carried on in the way that he was playing for us in that kind of rise to the Premier League. But unfortunately, injuries have taken his toll over Ender Stevens. Let me know in the comments what you think. Matt agrees. Olivia's saying loan him out for a season. So you think that we should offer him a new contract and loan him out just to see how it goes? I'm not saying not. I'm definitely not saying not. John, Ender, not a chance. Fair enough. I'm assuming John's saying that we should not give Ender Stevens another contract. I think that's what he's saying. But yeah, he's still only 32, Ender Stevens, to be fair. So there's still time for him, but time's definitely not on his side, you could say. Next up, we've got Ben Osborne. Now, I'm not a big fan of Ben Osborne. I've never been a big fan of Ben Osborne. I'm never a fan of utility players, to be honest. I don't mind a player that plays in one position but can fill in others. But I still don't know what Ben Osborne's number one position is. I think he's probably better. I don't know. I was just going to say left wing back, but then I just feel like Ben Osborne's physicality is always going to be a problem for him. I think he's a League One player now, to be honest. He's not got the pace. I think he's a technically really good footballer, but he's not got the pace. He's not got the strength. He's not got the height. Like, there's a lot of small players, or smaller players than him, in fact, that are strong, but he's just not got that at all. Gets out jumped, obviously, because he's too small. He gets knocked off the ball too easily. I don't feel like there's a position in a whole football team that is fine with having a tiny, tiny player. Maybe back in the day when you played two strikers and a little and a large, but he's not a striker. He'll never be a striker. And as Hal said on this channel before, I think the best position that any manager played him at Sheffield United was at kind of left forward or left wing, if you like, when Slavisa Kanovic played him a high left-sided player because he chips in with goals. He does. He always chips in with goals when he gets into the positions. I just don't think the rest of his game is quite good enough, and I would 100% release him, unfortunately. Joshua's jumping in there talking about Ender Stevens again. I'm in the middle of keep or again loaning out with Ben Osborne. Again, we're going to have to offer him a new contract if that's the idea. But if we do get relegated, it is an option if you give someone a year, loan them out, and then you come down, and then you've got those championship players again. But I don't think he's even a championship footballer, to be honest. Matthew is agreeing. Bye Osborne can run for days, but offers no quality, I'm afraid. I agree with you, but I sort of don't as well, because I do think he has the quality. I just don't think it's just his strength for me. It's just everything else. It's just his strength and his height. Osborne is like a blunt Swiss Army knife. Fair enough. And that's one thing that I'm not going to miss. People misspelling his name. Right wing and makes great efforts. Okay, Anne? Fair enough. Osborne being fine. That's two separate people that spell Osborne's name wrong. It's incredible. Osborne being fine, but not great. Would we be bringing another utility midfielder in to replace him? Possibly. What about the step overs? Absolutely, Lee. Absolutely. At this moment in time, I don't know who we're going to be bringing in. I really don't. I wrote it down earlier. I don't know where I wrote it, but I wrote down what I would want. I would likely want a goalkeeper, but I understand if we don't. Two left-sided players, whether that's left wing backs or left centre backs. We need some left-sided players to bolster up that side because it's really weak for me. I think we need two central midfielders to replace Doyle and McAtee. I don't know whether we'll get Doyle back or McAtee back, but it's not looking likely for McAtee. Doyle, we're not going to sign him because we've only got 20 million in fees at the moment. So I think Doyle's at least 20 million. But you never know in Man City. They might cash in on 15 million and let us have him, to be fair. Because he's, for me, certainly not a Man City player. I don't think he's good enough for Man City, but he's certainly a Premier League player for me, Doyle. So a couple of central midfielders, and I think a couple of strikers, to be honest. I think we need a couple of strikers. Door on tour, Mr. Door. See you next season. I was hoping we weren't going to see you next season, to be honest, because I wanted you to go down. I'm not going to lie. But it is also good to have clubs around this area doing well. So even though you're not from Yorkshire, you're not too far away. And I love going to the City ground, normally seen as win. I think we should sign Gary Medine. Fantastic. Great comment, Matt. Great comment. I think Osborne has been okay at best. Another person spelling Osborne's name wrong. What is going on? I don't know if that's a joke, but that's three people spelling Osborne's name wrong in a row. Three completely different people. It is mental. Does Manning sound a good player for the left? Yes, absolutely. Everyone's been banging on about Manning. I've not seen him play too many games of football, but everyone loves him. So looking forward to hopefully seeing if we can get him. Yeah, Mr. Doe. Yeah, apologies for that, but it is what it is. Let's move on now to talking about Ollie Norwood. Now, 100% new contract. 100%. Ollie Norwood, for me, could be a starter next season. I'm not saying he's going to be, and I'm not saying I want him to be, but I think if Ollie Norwood can sharpen up and move the ball quicker and get his mind kind of moving, ticking quicker, he can play that role. He has absolutely played that role in previous seasons. I think that he had a poor end to the season, but it happens. It happens to everyone at times. You go through stages where you're just not at it. And Ollie Norwood, he's going to go away and work on things. I am positive of that because this is his last roll of the dice. Let's be honest. Ollie Norwood, we could get relegated. He could stay with us, but this is a chance for him to become a Premier League player and stay there. So he needs to take it. I think some people will say get rid of Ollie Norwood, but I certainly wouldn't. Even if he's not a starter next season, we need him in the squad for lots and lots of different reasons, right? I think Ollie Norwood is the one that's bringing in the most comments right now. Jimmy's saying about bringing Manning in. Ping him a new contract. Very good. Very good. I love to see that. Brother, oh, everyone loves it. Let's not for many reasons. But I love Neil Shipley when he played for Sheffield United. Would you take a gamble on Clark Harris from Peterborough? Apparently has been transfer listed today. Wowzers. No, Rob. No. We did a video on him when we went up to the Premier League the first time, and I think we could have tried to sign him then, but no, not anymore. Not anymore. Especially not seeing him play against Wednesday at Hillsborough. He was appalling. New contract, but hasn't got good enough playing skills to be a starter. Fair enough. Fair enough. Matt is totally agreeing with me or Olivia. I'm not sure. Keep Norwood. Get a midfielder like Doyle who can play the Norwood role. He can see games out for us if he doesn't start. Absolutely. Absolutely. Next up, Norwood has a backup. Norwood, yes, as a backup. Don't want him first choice. Too slow. Yeah. I agree. I absolutely agree. Norwood gets the contract, but too slow. Everybody's agreeing. Everyone's agreeing. Jimmy thinks he should stay as well. Totally agree. No to Johnson Clark Harris was poor in the championship. Completely agree. And Brian also agreed. Ollie Norwood has to stay, but if we can improve this position, a new player, great. Totally agree. If we are not bringing in players that are better than Ollie Norwood, then he needs to stay, obviously. And with the £20 million that everyone's talking about, I think we need to spend money on a striker more than a midfielder. But yeah, we certainly do need to bring in some midfielders as well because we are light there. We are absolutely light. And I'm going to be talking about another two midfielders now in John Fleck and Ismaila Koulibaly, Ize, as they call him, the players call him. First up, though, John Fleck. Unfortunately, it is a big fat release for me. I do feel like at certain points last season, John Fleck looked like the old John Fleck, especially the last game at Bramall Lane, where he scored a goal and was all over the place, running around like an absolute madman. And it looked brilliant. Unfortunately, injuries like Ender, like Jack O'Connell, obviously Jack O'Connell more serious. Injuries have taken the toll on John Fleck over the last 2 seasons. It happens when you're getting into your 30s. I can attest to that. But John Fleck is certainly better at football than me. And I think he can play championship football. I really do. I think he will continue to be a championship footballer. But I've said that about Mark Duffy. I've said that about Coots. And they just kind of fall down the leagues and end up in League One and League Two. So I don't want to see that from Fleck. But at the end of the day, I do think he's come to the end of his time at Sheffield United. But we absolutely thank him for his service because John Fleck has been an incredible free signing. And yeah, he's done it at the highest level as well. He was fantastic in that first season in the Premier League. So yeah, I think we have to release John Fleck, but we say goodbye and thank him for his service. We really do. Fleck, keep Koulibaly. He's not even that good for us in the championship. Keep Koulibaly. Everyone's talking about Koulibaly now. We're going to talk about Koulibaly in a second. Flubber Fleck needs to go. Flubber Fleck, is that a thing? Is that a thing that I've never heard of? I'm a Scottish Blade, but Fleck only started playing in the last couple of games, has to go. I think you might be right, Brian, and I think that he might have been doing that either for a new contract or because he's like, this. If this is my last game or my last couple of games at Bramall Lane, I want to go out on a high, and I hope it's the latter. I really do. Okay, yeah. Izzy had a great game versus Spurs. Needs a chance for me. James, I'll be honest with you, mate. We'll go on to talking about Koulibaly now. We've gone through Fleck quite a bit. For me, Koulibaly, he's been given a few chances in the cup, and he obviously had a decent game against Spurs. He had decent games against, especially the second one against Wrexham. I think he came on as a sub in the first game. Second game he started and he played quite well. But he's only been given 1 minute of football in the league. And for me, that makes me think that Hecky doesn't fancy him, or he's not showing it in training, or he's not up to standard. So a lot of people are on Koulibaly's side, and I'm not against Koulibaly, but at the same time, I do feel like if Hecky saw in him what we want to see, then he would have at least be on the bench, if not starting. And a lot of times, he's just not even been on the bench this season. So, yeah, I don't know if Koulibaly is the right player, but I'd certainly give him another year just to see if he can break into the team, because he was certainly certainly had it because I believe we had received a 10 million bid from AC Milan at one point, and the Prince turned it down because he wanted to. Obviously, wanted him to play well for Sheffield United and bring him back from Beershot, and it's just not gone right for him yet. But maybe the Premier League's better for him. I don't know. Release Fleck, not good enough for the Prem, and he'll be on fairly high wages. Koulibaly, I'd keep and loan out. AC Milan bid for him. There we go. There we go. AC Milan. I didn't make that up. Did not make that up. Yeah, I think that Sharpe, Ender, and Fleck are all on massive wages. To be fair, I think they obviously all dropped when we got relegated to the Championship, but all on big wages because they're all playing fantastic football when they got given their new contracts. Koulibaly needs to go. Not good enough for us in the Championship. Ismaila deserves a proper shot. Maybe half a season on loan. Will be on low wages. I love Fleck, but he's not. He's just not just not Prem good enough anymore. Ideal for a top 8 Championship team. Oh, I like that. I like that positivity. Wes, it's right. We're not going to go into Wes. We're not going to go into Wes because we'll be here forever. Next up, we've got Ollie McBurney, and if you'd have said this at the start of last season, I'd have said it's probably time to move on from McBurney because he just wasn't showing it. But he was great last season. He struggled with injuries as well, McBurney, and he still had a really good season, still scored a load of goals as well, scored some big goals because if it wasn't for Ollie McBurney, we wouldn't have got promoted this season. I do think Billy Sharp would have had a bigger run in the side and probably would have scored more goals, but McBurney has certainly showed why we paid the money for him back when we did. And if you'd have seen the video where I was waxing lyrical about McBurney when we first signed him, you'll know that I'm a I was a big McBurney fan when we signed him. Not as much after when I saw him play, but he certainly won me round with this season and when I met him as well, because he was a really, really nice guy. Big drip Bernie. He's a keeper. He's a goal scorer now. Absolutely. If we let Ollie go, I'll be questioning everything I know. He's gone from having poor form to absolutely brilliant lately. Completely agree. McBurney has been great. He really has. Keep McBurney, can offer something in the Prem, even if not a starter. Completely agree. If we bring in a new signing and he's a great striker and he's scoring goals, McBurney can come on to win the headers from corners. Either way, he's good at holding the ball up as well. So McBurney had keep, but still not 100% convinced with him. Completely agree. Anyone saying Ollie McBurney doesn't deserve a new contract has a problem with his personality rather than his performances. Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing that McBurney's been great this season and he deserves a new contract. Next up, we're talking about Daniel Jebison now. We'll leave Billy Sharp until the end because I know that's what everyone's wanting me to talk about. And people have already been putting it in the comments as well. But let's talk about Daniel Jebison for a second. The last game at Bramall Lane, he came on and created 2 fantastic goals with great play. He's got everything that it takes to be a top class striker, but at the moment he's not putting it together in the right games at the right time and in a run. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's gangly, which is good for a striker. Defenders do not like to defend against gangly strikers. He's shown he can finish as well, so he just needs to put all that together and he'll be a great player. Olivia's saying loan Jebo out. I'm not against that. But at the same time, I do think we'll use him more this season. So I think we'll give him another year or two because what's there to lose to giving Daniel Jebison a 2-year contract? Like, he looks the deal. He looks potentially someone that could go on to be a really good striker. Same as Will Asula. I put them both in the same mold, but I just feel like Asula wants it more. So I think Asula should be loaned out and Jebison should stay at Bramall Lane. But at the same time, if we brought in a couple of strikers and we loaned him out, I wouldn't completely be against that. Jebo's still young. Keep him in and around the team, play him against tight defenders late on and stretch them. I like that. I like that a lot. I'd keep him around, has pace and can finish and will offer something. Definitely. I think Jebo's got a really good future coming to him, but he needs to stop letting things get to him so much. He gets frustrated too much. Maybe. And finally, before we end the stream, let's talk about Billy Sharp now. We all saw it at the parade in tears, saying that he'd play for Sheffield United for another year, another 2, another 5, another 10. He is a blade through and through. I feel like this might be time for Billy to move on, to be honest. Whether it's him hanging his boots up, I don't think it will be, because I think as long as he feels he can offer something, he will want to play football, whether it's for us or somebody else. I saw a rumour that he was going to Doncaster Rovers, which there's no way he's going down there. He's a championship striker, 100%. Maybe just not at the top end of it. But I absolutely love Billy Sharp. I originally thought back in the day when we first had him that he wasn't good enough. And I think a lot of people probably told him that. Neil Warnock sold him. Brian Robson bought him back. James Beattie kept him out of the team, didn't score many goals for the Blades, then went out again. We sold him on again. And he's come back and he has proved himself time and time and time again. And he obviously wants people to write him off so that he can go and prove them wrong. I just think that if we'd have stayed in the Championship, would have given him another year. But I think that this is probably time. I think the Premier League is a bit of a step too high. I think if he'd have played how he did the season before, when he scored, I think it was 14 goals or maybe more, would have probably kept him as third or fourth striker. But he just didn't do enough for me last season to deserve another contract, to be honest. But I love Billy Sharp. If he is willing to hang his boots up, 100% keep him there. Keep him at the club as a coach, maybe even as a player coach, but obviously on a lot lower wages so that we can afford to bring in some other players as well. So I think that's everyone. And we've gone through everyone. Let me know what you think about Sharp before I go. Matt, 60 quid. bought it on the website. That's how much it was. Sharp is League One now. Brian thinks he's League One. League One. He simply has to go. No player is bigger than the club. He can barely run nowadays. I think he scored 3 league goals this season. Yeah, and it was still more than Jebo, wasn't it, to be honest? So, yeah. But no, it's not what Billy wants. Billy doesn't want to score 3 goals. He wants to score more than that. And I think somebody maybe who got promoted from League One to the Championship, or maybe someone towards the bottom end of the Championship, would love Billy Sharp, and he would love playing for him, banging goals in, because I think he's a Championship striker still. I'd keep him as a player coach, mainly a coach, but there's if injuries and suspensions, absolutely. 1 more year for Sharp. Matt is saying 1 more year. Fair enough, Matt. I wish I could say that, but I can't. Sharp is as useful as Sharpie pen with no ink. No need for that, Jack. No need. 1 more year, then that's it, Olivia's saying. Fair enough. Few people saying that. Agree, Billy's time is up. There we go. It's going back and forth. Only worry with letting Sharp go is we'll only mostly like have one senior striker, McBurnett, and strikers are expensive to buy. So don't have faith we'll get what we need. I think we'll have to sign a striker. Whether it's someone on loan, on a free, they may not be good enough. We'll have to wait and see. I can't really argue with saying he can barely run. Granted, he's slower, but now he is still a fast player. A goal against Wrexham should be enough to prove my point. Okay. Billy Blade through and through. He's done his job. He has. And he can retire, in my opinion, or at least leave Sheffield United knowing that he did all he could as a Blade, and he did wondrous things for us, getting us promoted twice. He's had some fantastic times. He's had the best times in my life as a Blade. And him, Chris Wilder, all those lads brought back what it was to be a Blade, and I'll never ever forget that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know if you're watching this after the live. Let me know who you think should be given new deals, should be released. Let us know in the comments right now. Just put the name and then new contract or released. Easy as that. 1 year, 2 year contracts, whatever you want. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you for being here on the live as well. Really appreciate it. Make sure you like the video before you leave, and I'll see you very, very soon.